relationship, if you've been in any kind of relationship, you'll know that it's not a real relationship if it doesn't come with conflict. It's conflict in a relationship is like, sugar in ice cream. It's obvious. It's just going to be there, or else it's not ice cream. It's not a relationship if there's no conflict. And that being said, I want to share with you that all conflict is not bad. The worst thing you can think of in your relationship is that because you're having conflict, because you're having debate, because you're having some arguments, that there's something wrong with your relationship. But no, it is not. It does not mean there's something wrong with your relationship because you're having conflict. Here's what conflict is. Conflict is simply two intelligent people. Intelligent people who have opposing opinions, and they need to come together to work those things out so they can be on one accord again. That's all a conflict is. That's all a debate is. The problem is that when we don't know how to come together and create that synergy again, we come together and we repel one another because we have these opinions, and you wouldn't be with somebody who you don't trust if you don't trust their intellect. You think they're a dummy. You don't think that they can argue. You want someone who can argue with you. You hear me. You want someone who can give you an opposing opinion. It's the best thing in the world in a relationship. When I talk to men, especially, and men is like, my girlfriend, my wife, my whatever, she doesn't listen. I'm like, well, what does listening mean to you? What does listening look like to you? Does listening look like her doing exactly what you say and what you ask at all times without any kind of rebuff, without any kind of objection? If that's what listening is, then you're right. She's not listening, and she should not listen. And I've heard the same from women saying, my husband doesn't listen. Is it a matter of listening, or is it a matter of two opposing opinions not having the tools to find synergy? And I think that's what it is more so than anything. Okay? Someone said there has to be a way to share the invite. You know what? The only way to do it is that send someone the app. I think there is a share space in the app. So look through it and we'll work that out. Okay. All right. Great. I will share from Apple Store to social media. Excellent. Thank you so much. Okay in LA. Yes, Sabine, you are my niece. Thank you. So let's get into this conflict thing, okay? Because I want to talk to you guys about it. Understanding that conflict is not a bad thing. Understanding that conflict can be good. In fact, it can be incredibly positive. You can look at conflict as growing pains, okay? And I'm going to need you guys to chime in, okay? Because what I'm finding is that people will throw away a relationship because of conflict. And I want you to think about this. How many relationships have you been in that could have been a good thing, but you didn't know how to resolve the conflict? How many people have you been with in your life, and you know they were a good person, they were a good provider, they were intelligent, they had maybe a good career, they were maybe loving, but you just kept butting heads, and you couldn't get beyond that. And so you ended it. Why? Well, we grew out of love. We fell out of love. You didn't fall out of love because you didn't fall into it. Love is something you grow into. It's not something you fall in. Well, we just had our different opinions. We went our separate ways. All those different euphemisms we use for saying we could not resolve our conflict. We just couldn't resolve our conflict because we did not have the tools, or we were not willing to listen and take note. Look, on this show, Married at First Sight, you may have heard of it. One thing that completely pisses me off, and I'm saying that, pisses me off on the show, is when we give people good, solid advice. There are 3 brains on there, and we all give people advice. And when they don't listen, and as a result of not listening, they fall into all these major challenges, nothing makes me more angry than that. Because it's like, dude, you have every opportunity to get this right. We're showing you how to do it. If you listen, okay, great. If you don't, it ain't going to work. because we all need guidance, okay? And that's what we're going to give you this evening. If you guys are with me, chime in. Let me know what you're thinking. Now, because conflict is not a bad thing, there are ways to handle conflict, and some of these ways in which we handle conflict, they're going to seem like, well, that's not a good way to handle it, but I want you to just follow me. Okay, follow me and stay with me, okay? Some of you some of you online right now may have had an argument with your significant other or with somebody you are dating, or a disagreement on a first date or a second date or something, or you've ended a relationship because of conflict right now. And if you had some of these tools, you may have stayed. Okay, it may have worked. All right. What's the first strategy to approach conflict? If there's conflict, if there's some kind of friction, if there's some kind of disagreement, what is the first way to approach it? I'm going to give you 5 strategies to approach conflict. 1 is the avoiding conflict model. How many of you have been in a relationship where you know people who avoid conflict? Just avoid it. Because naturally, that's what we want to do. Who wants to fuss all the time? One of the worst things, I believe, and I'm going to speak on behalf of husbands around the world. One of the worst things a husband can hear is, honey, we need to talk. And maybe wives also, baby, we got to talk. Because nobody wants conflict. Nobody wants to do that. Nobody wants to approach this stuff. But it's necessary, okay? So most people naturally want to avoid conflict. And so they tend to gravitate towards, the avoiding conflict style. Now, I see no one is, I don't know, if you guys are online, please type and let me know you're there. And let me know you're getting this, okay? Most people want to avoid it. Now, there are some advantages and disadvantages to each conflict style. The first style is what? I want you to type it in, what I just said. I'm going to wait a second. The avoiding conflict style. Okay. Avoiding conflict style. Okay. And the avoiding model the avoiding model simply means that you're not going to talk about it. Now let's talk about an advantage here. One advantage of the avoiding model is this. It gives people time to deal with it and to think about it. And possibly that conflict might peter out on its own. The majority, I would say the great majority of things we argue about are so insignificant that if we give them time, they would probably just dissolve. Now, I'm saying the majority. There are those things that ain't going to dissolve. Infidelity, it ain't going nowhere. You got to deal with it. Okay? Financial issues, they're not going anywhere. You got to deal with it. But saying something that you don't like, or you came late for this, or you didn't, you rolled your eyes, or all that kind of stuff. Most of it will dissipate if you leave it alone. Okay? Now, someone asked a question here. Shayla asked a question. What about repeat offenses? Okay, let's talk about that. Because with repeat offenses, can you avoid them? Do you avoid repeat offenses? Absolutely not. Again, this is just one conflict model. The first is to avoid. And the positive about it is that sometimes, it gives a person to think about it because you don't say the wrong thing, or sometimes it might peter out on its own. Now, here's the negative, that if you let a problem simmer for too long, it can boil over into something more damaging. Okay? Yeah, you're absolutely right, Lynn. This can be akin to not sweating the small stuff. But if it's something that's a repeat offense, and you let it simmer for so long, it can boil over into things that are more detrimental, things that are more difficult. And if a person is avoiding conflict, it can build the perception also that you don't care. Yeah. That's another problem with avoiding conflict. Now, mind you, there's advantages and disadvantages. One, avoiding conflict can be good if it's a small thing, if it's small stuff. All right? If it's something, a repeat situation, you want to attack it. Okay. Now, do not use this as a way to punish. Okay? Don't use this as a way, I'm not going to talk about it because I know you want to talk about it. So I'm not going to say anything, and I know that's going to eat you up. I'm not talking about apathy here. I'm talking about a decided method of attacking the conflict. Avoidance we're talking about an intellectual approach to this. Not, I ain't going to say nothing. I don't care how mad you get. I'm not going to say nothing. That's called using silence as a weapon. That's not what we're talking about. That's not what we're talking about. Yes, you're absolutely right, Nick. Pick your battles wisely, because every battle doesn't have to be fought. Okay? But if it's something that's significant, you got to talk about it. Second model is accommodating. Okay? Avoiding and accommodating. All right? Now, the accommodating model requires that one party immediately concedes to the other's argument. Okay? Now, I want you to hear me. Acquiesce, to concede. Now, some of y'all don't want to hear this, and I know you don't. I know you don't. I know you don't. Because giving in is painful. Giving in is tough. Giving in is hard, okay? Because it means you have to set aside your own issues in order to keep the peace. But get this, the accommodating model works. Sometimes if someone is and you know that it's, hear me, you know that it's something that they are arguing about, that's really got their goat, don't make that much of a difference to you. This is when you use the accommodating model. You don't avoid it because it's really something that they pissed off about. Ain't no big deal to you. If it's not that big deal to you and you're wondering why are they so upset about this, what we do quite often is we'll say, well, I don't even know why you're mad. And you go into an argument. When the best thing to do, this is what we'll call fighting fire with water. The accommodating model. Fighting fire with water. Somebody, and I wish I could find who it was, came up with this asinine, boneheaded idea that you fight fire with fire. That means everybody gets consumed. Ask any good fireman out there and they'll tell you the best way to fight fire is with water. You just put it out. And the accommodating model does that. It can result in a deeper understanding. And it lets the person, what it'll do actually is it'll release a person's angst and their anger and it'll make them feel as though you're hearing them when you accommodate. Okay? Now, that's the advantage of it. Okay, someone said here, setting aside pride can be a difficult but rewarding, girl, please. Setting aside pride can be difficult but a rewarding experience. All right? And Nick D, you make a very important point here. You said you always want to fix the situation. And this is for the natural born fixer, accommodating a problem is difficult. Accommodating is difficult. But you have to start thinking of it this way. Your accommodation could actually fix it. Your accommodation could be a step to fixing it, especially if that thing is not something that you really give two poots about. Okay? I always want to fix a situation or that statement. Hurt people. I despise that statement. Yes, yeah, okay. But the thing is, yes, Arthur, I'm going to get you. Yeah, you make an incredible point. But, keeping the peace, that person knows that you're listening. That's a good thing. Now, the other side, the negatives to the accommodating model, is if you feel as though you don't want to accommodate, if you feel as though your accommodation would lead to that person overrunning you, or if the accommodation is not sincere, or if it's something that you're just doing to just shut them up. Okay, fine. All right, fine. Okay, you're right. Okay, all right. Okay, calm down. You're right. I'm wrong. That's not accommodating. That's patronizing. Okay? And Arthur's saying something really important here. Attack the problem and not the person. This is something that I've always said. It's so difficult, but it's so mandatory. And in any of these, whether you're avoiding or accommodating, if you're focusing on the challenge, the issue, and not the person, you're focusing on the problem and not the person, I'm here to tell you, it'll be easier. If you realize, you know what, my giving in here is simply going to highlight what the problem is and take me out of the argumentative equation. Because now it's not about me, because I've said, you know what, okay, you're right, I'm sorry. Yeah, let me hear what you have to say, because yeah, I'm sorry. I'm sorry. I may not have seen it the right way. Tell me more. I've been removed. Now he realized, oh, okay, well, let's talk about the issue now, because you've moved yourself out of the issue. That's focusing on the problem. Okay? Now, here's a question, but is accommodating the problem enabling the other person? Is accommodating the problem enabling the other person? No, it is not. Remember, we said earlier that what we're talking about is a decided way of handling conflict. We're not talking about giving in just for giving in's sake. We're talking about relax, especially, and I gave you the caveat, that if a person is incensed about a thing and it's not that deep to you, then relax. Relax. Give in and say, you know what? Okay, fine. Tell me more. I'm sorry. I'm sorry. I can see this is really something on your heart. That's accommodating. Is that enabling them? No, it's giving them an opportunity to express what they're saying without your anger, without you giving them reciprocal anger and reciprocal heat. Okay? There's a big difference here. Okay, it's not enabling. And sometimes we get so, that word enabling, and it's just like the whole idea of hurt people. I know why you hate that, because it almost gives people an excuse to hurt you. Well, I'm hurt too. Now I'm going to give it. No. Take responsibility for your own freaking hurt. Okay, take responsibility for your hurt. Take responsibility for your pain. I understand that hurt people, but hurt people don't have to hurt people. Hurt people can take responsibility, and also hurt people can help people because you're hurt. You don't always have to hurt people just because you're hurt. Okay, and the idea of enabling, we're so afraid of someone taking advantage of us that we throw out the enabling thing and we say, no, we don't want to enable you. We don't want to give you too much latitude to take advantage of me. And that's what that's about. That's where that fear comes from. Okay, let's go on here. I want to answer your questions. Okay, you're welcome. You're so welcome, Shannon. Let's go on. All right. Continue. So I want you to understand fully. First of all, there's the avoiding model. And secondly, there's the accommodating model. Okay. Unfortunately, I don't think we're going to get much further than that tonight, because I have 3 more. But the avoiding model, I'm just going to recap a little bit. First of all, the avoiding model is to allow yourself time to deal with it. Avoiding it does not mean, and I want to say this clearly, avoiding it does not mean ignoring the person. It does not mean that. Sometimes in avoiding a problem, going back, again, just recapping, sometimes avoiding a problem simply means acknowledging to the person, you know what, let's talk about this later. I think we'll talk about this when we both have cooler heads. What do you say we come back in about an hour and discuss this after we've had time to think about it? That's avoiding. It's not ignoring. It's avoiding the issue. Giving it time to peter out. Giving yourself time to think. Okay? That's avoiding it. Right now, but you can't allow it to simmer too long if it's that important to the other person. All right. And someone said, see, the author must have read the book Marriage Ain't for Punks. Yes. That is something that we say in our book, attack the person, not the problem. And lastly, accommodating, just to recap that again, accommodating means that you're going to acquiesce or give in or say, you know what, I hear what you're saying. I'm sorry. I'm sorry that I'm sorry for what I've said or what I've done, and I really need to hear what you're saying. So, tell me more. Tell me more. You're engaged, but you're accommodating. You're engaged, but you're conceding, so that person can really get to you and really get to the point. And let me share something a little bit more about the accommodating model. If you're accommodating a person and they're arguing and they're really incensed and they're arguing, try this. Once they start getting going, let them go. Sit there Nod your head. Not sarcastically, not in any kind of sardonic way or any kind of, passive aggressive way. Just, yeah, I hear you. I'm listening. Yeah. Now tell me more. You just sit there and you listen. And you listen. You know what's going to happen? Their anger is going to go from here to here to here. And eventually, if they see that you're not talking, or you're just assenting to them and accommodating them, what they're going to do is they're going to say, okay, you got anything to say? What do you think? They will always come back and ask you to input. And at that time, you say nothing. You simply say, well, right now my opinion's not that important. I really want to hear what you have to say. So just tell me more. Boom. That will resolve that conflict. Because if it ain't that deep to you anyway, you don't even need to get involved in an argument. Okay? All right. Crystal says, I'm a processor. I have to sidebar conflict like that, giving myself time. Absolutely. Well, then you have to give yourself just the avoidance. Okay? The avoiding model, which is not always bad. We're not talking about attachment style avoidance. We're talking about avoiding a conflict to give yourself time to be ready to engage. Okay? So I do get that. You have to process. But Crystal, let me give you this little caveat. If you process, if you're giving yourself time, okay, always with a significant other, give them the indication. Let them know that you're coming back to the conversation. If you have to sidebar, say, you know what? Let's come back in about 30 minutes. Can we talk about this later? Because I need to get all this in my head. So that's avoiding it to come back and to talk about it later. Okay. All right. Some people are too stubborn and sometimes prideful to yield to humility. You're absolutely right. Look, none of this stuff is easy. That's why I say marriage ain't for punks. Because none of this is easy. We're talking about attacking conflict here. Okay? We have to practice humility and vulnerability to get better at that. You're absolutely right. None of this is easy. But those people who've been married for 30, 40, 50 years, people that I know who've been married, who've gone through mad hell and are still hanging in there, they know this stuff. They know when to speak. They know when to accommodate. They know when sometimes you got to compete. They know some of the other models. But I'm here to tell you, if you go ahead and push through and do these things, you're going to find that you can live more comfortably and happily with that significant person in your life. So next time we're going to talk about the competing model and the compromising model and the collaborating model. But right now we're going to leave it right here. Okay? All right. I forget exactly. I sure will, Pastor Cal. I forget at times. Sometimes I forget what it was about, and that really angers people. Yes. All right. Great. Thank you, guys. That requires major skill. You're absolutely right. Today, my thoughts aren't important, right? All right. All right, guys. And someone said that the book has tremendously helped us. Awesome. The book is about the same name of the app, Marriage Ain't for Punks. If you don't have it, you can get it wherever books are sold, on Amazon, Barnes & Noble, et cetera. I think they still have some in the stores. They did when I went there last. So absolutely. So order online if you don't have it, okay? Or better yet, make sure you subscribe to the app, because a lot of, in fact, if you go to the Ask Pastor Cal part of this app, all of my book has been downloaded into the Ask Pastor Cal. It's not just AI, it's our work for the last 20, 25 years. So if you ask a question, you're going to get answers based on our work, okay? God bless you guys. Look forward to seeing you guys on Tuesday. We're going to deal with some more, okay?